Okay, let's start our presentation. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for coming. This is the last day, and we don't expect more people to come. Anyway, whoever is there, we will share our findings, whatever we have. So first, the housekeeping instructions. Please put your cell phones on silent. That's very important. In case of any emergency alarm, everybody has to evacuate the building. There will be an announcement as well. If there is a real emergency, there will be an announcement will be followed by the alarm. So we have to follow. There is no smoking area in the building. You have to go out, and that's it. So let's start our presentation. I wanted more people from within the U.S. to realize what we are doing and what are the challenges and what are the opportunities for people outside the U.S. But unfortunately, only one is representing. Anyway, we have to go through the presentation. So the topic is important of OHS for the sustainable development. For any country, the sustainable development cannot be achieved unless we have occupational health and safety systems in place, the legislation in place, the implementation in place, the acceptance is there. So the purpose is to highlight this importance, and particularly it is based on the one country, which is Pakistan. Pakistan has its own importance, and I will talk about the geographic location and challenges Pakistan has. So. I will definitely highlight the name of Mohammed Mahmood Khan, who could not come to attend this session because of visa reasons. Unfortunately, third time his visa has been rejected, and this is very unfortunate that ASSP cannot do anything for, and he has to appear for the interview, and its visa section, if they are convinced, they will stamp the visa, otherwise not. But just to highlight the importance that what he did, he has very important role, and I believe that without him, I will not be able to present here, because he was with me for presenting. Yes, true. Very honestly, I'm saying that without him, I would not be able to present, because he was pushing me to submit the abstract. Because if somebody is not pushing, you will maybe forget or you will not do it. So he was pushing me, then he sat with me, we collected the idea, we collected the data, everything. So he was very instrumental, I believe. But unfortunately, he could not come. So that's why I'm spending time to introduce him, and hopefully next time we will try to bring him for the leadership. And if he comes for the leadership, maybe he gets the visa, and then next year, hopefully. Okay, so this is our map, just to show you the location of the country. This is surrounded by different countries. One side is India, one side is China, one side is Afghanistan, and one side is Iran. So you can see, and one side is this Arabian Sea. I'm not able to use the pointer clearly, but one side is surrounded by sea. So there is a diversity in the country, different areas, different seasons, different terrains. For example, this sea, there is a port which is under construction, which is Gwadar, going to be the biggest and deepest port in the world, hopefully. And then this side is desert, which is linked with India. With India. Then is Afghanistan border, which is mostly barren mountains. Then Punjab. Punjab is the name Punjab is 5 rivers. I mean, if we translate, Punjab means 5 rivers. So this is land of rivers. And the canal system and the distribution network was built by the English people. I would come up to that, what was the reason. So this area was developed fully when English rule was there in this part of the world. So it's lush green mostly, and well populated also. On the upper part with the China, there are peaks. Highest peaks, K2 peak and Mount Everest. So these are the highest peaks, and the diversity in temperatures -50 to +50. +50 on the desert side and -50 on the top of the mountains, which is so. This is so diverse, and the strategic position of the country is very, very unique. You can see the China can only enter this sea through Pakistan. So that is the importance of Pakistan, because China wants to be growing economically and entering the Middle East and the African countries. So that's why the importance of Pakistan has been highlighted. And you know, the Afghan war. Afghan war has almost damaged Pakistan. And then 9/11 came. This again further deteriorated this situation. So economy collapsed, the people were killed, like 75,000 people were killed in this. Anyway, this is so geostrategic situation of Pakistan is very important. That's why we are highlighting that how it will grow. Okay, going further, yes, the peaks, the mountains, snow-covered mountains on the top. Facts about Pakistan, we have 200 million plus people living. Area is slightly more than Texas. If you look at the Texas state, Pakistan is slightly more or comparable. Capital is Islamabad. There we have 4 provinces. National language is Urdu, and the second language is English. And the official language is basically English. I would highlight that Pakistan was part of joint India, Pakistan and Bangladesh. They were one. And they were ruled by the English people like 100 years, 1857 to 1947. So they were ruling, and mostly they have developed the country. Definitely they had the intentions to be there. So that's why English is the official language, and people can nicely speak English and communicate in English for this reason. Then we have a democratic system which is working, and then the peaks. Yes, very important thing that we have the highest workforce. 60% of the population is the workforce. Their ages are from 18 to 35. So they are the actual workforce which can help country grow and develop. So we are focusing, that's why we are focusing on OHS, that people need to be safe workers, they need to be efficient workers to contribute for the economy, and they should learn. I will later highlight how we are doing. Per capita income, just to show you how can we compare with the US. You can well compare the US per capita income is 50,000 plus, and ours is very small, unfortunately. So anyway, still the country is running the economy. And another thing which is highlighted at the bottom, that we are a nuclear power as well. The Pakistan is a nuclear power and a big army. That is, for some reason, we don't know how and why, but there is a politics which is going on in the world. Okay. For the road network, as I highlighted, the English rulers actually developed the country. In early days, there were road network, but that was very poor. But English rulers, when they were there, they were actually running the economy, and they were taking a lot of raw material from there and running the industry. So they developed actually the infrastructure of roads. But the modernization of the infrastructure carried out after 80s. After 80s, the motorways and modern road network started working, but before till 80s, it was old network. But there is a big network which is connected throughout the country. And with the interest of Chinese intervention, they are actually investing in the infrastructure. So the Chinese will I'm not able to highlight. Okay. So Chinese will enter from the top of the country, and they will reach the bottom, the Arabian Sea. I don't know why it's not working. So they will reach so for them, they have developed the road infrastructure, and gradually they are making it usable for their containers and trucks. So thousands of trucks and loads will be moving from China to this Arabian Gulf, the Gwadar port. And they will definitely save huge amount of money. They will save like 20 hours travel, which is they are moving through ships. So they will and huge, in billions of dollars they will save in fuel cost. So that, and then the oil pipelines will be going and gas pipelines will be running through. So there is a lot of work. So that's why the infrastructure is very important for the country. Railway network also, this is the same. The English rulers actually developed the railway network. That was working, but now it's at the verge of modernization, and Chinese are investing to make new tracks and fast tracks. So it is ongoing. So with the passage of time, it will be improved further. Energy infrastructure, we have the natural gas pipeline network throughout the country. We had very good gas reserves, natural gas reserves, which are depleting with the passage of time, but the gas infrastructure is countrywide. So this is huge infrastructure for the gas. So mostly the population is getting gas through pipelines at their homes. Okay, because the topic is about the sustainable development, so let's talk about the sustainable development. What's the topic and why we are talking about the sustainable development? So look at the top insignia. It's the UN initiative to define and they defined the 17 sustainable development goals. It happened, I believe, in 2014. So these were defined, and there are a few which are directly related to OHS. So we will highlight them also. I think it's number 3, number 8, and number 16, I believe. Okay, next. So yes, 3, 8, and 16. So these three are very, very related, and you can see there is a health and safety at workplace, So there are, it's very categorically defined that in these three sustainable goals, these they have very clearly highlighted the importance of work and OHS or workers' safety and health. So good health, yes, definitely the workers' health is very important for this sustainability. Decent work, safe work, economic growth. Economic growth can never be achieved unless the workers are performing efficiently and producing the goods. Then justice means the legislation, the importance of legislation and implementation of legislation is even important. Okay. Global facts, what's happening actually? For some reasons, the reasons behind, there are 2.3 million workers every year who die and they have work-related injuries and diseases. So it's a huge number, huge number. So that's why every country is highlighting the importance. Well, the U.S. market is well developed. The legislation is very good. The implementation is very good. The enforcement, the insurance companies, the courts are supporting this whole OHS. But still, there are injuries, there are deaths going on. So there are disasters which happen. And you can understand the country where legislation is poor, where there is no implementation, there is no awareness. You can imagine the number of deaths and number of injuries happening. So that's why we are highlighting the importance of a country like Pakistan. So we have, okay, so you can see there are millions of workers, they receive injuries and they get sick. And okay. The economic cost, definitely when somebody is killed, there is a loss, there is a compensation. If somebody is injured, there is a compensation the companies have to face. So about 4% of the world's annual GDP is being paid to compensate those accidents, the deaths and injuries. So it's a huge cost that needs to be saved. So that's why we say that safety is a good business. Investment in safety is really good to have. Because if we invest $1 in safety, we get like $2 as per the ILO. assessment, and we get $5 as per the US market. So it's a very good investment that we pay for safety. We invest in safety to save that loss. So if we talk of US market, definitely there is a lot of work has been done, like OSHA, the awareness, the training program, the workers' awareness. But in developing countries where there is a lot of pressure to produce goods, to develop the industry, there is a lot of work which is carried out without taking care of safety of the workers. So that is very important, and that's why we are highlighting that in Pakistan, things are happening. We are in the developing stage, and there are many things happening because of lack of legislation and enforcement. Specifically, the construction industry, which is not covered in our country. Definitely, a death and an injury of a person, if he loses a job, a one-time compensation cannot fulfill the requirement. The family suffers, his children suffer. So, in a nutshell, the accident should not happen, because if there is an accident, there is a death, the whole family will affect and the whole society will be impacted. So that's why we say that it should not happen in the first place. And definitely the workers are from the poor class, from the underprivileged class. They are less paid, they don't have the backup. So if they are affected, their whole family is on the road, in the streets. So that's very important. A rich person, if he gets hit or he gets injured, or so definitely he has the assets, he has the family background, and he can be fed. The children can be fed. But the poor people, and if you look at the local market, the migrants, they are actually being affected. In the US market, I have seen the more Spanish people, they are not covered, they don't have insurance, and they are mostly affected because of the accidents. So same is the case in different countries, that in Middle Eastern countries, for example, mostly people from Pakistan, from India, Bangladesh, Philippines, they go in the Middle Eastern countries and they get killed and they get injured. So that's happening, unfortunately, should not happen. So they are actually, and the children and women definitely. Not in Pakistan, very few women are working in openly. Very less number of women are in the jobs, but in other countries, I think in India, many women, a lot of women are working, and they are exposed to accidents and injuries. Okay, now let's talk about the Pakistan. We have a plan, Pakistan 2025. This is actually a long-term plan Pakistan government has made, and with this plan, they have linked the sustainable goals. So unless we link with the local plan, it doesn't work. So that's why the local plan was developed and sustainable goals were included. I always remember, Ashok bhai, that think globally and act locally. That is very good slogan. Whenever we do something in our country, we think that we are thinking globally and acting locally. So that works. So even I would like to highlight that whatever we learn from ASSP or ASSE in past years we have learned, we try to implement in our country. And whenever we go for the meetings or wherever, we highlight that this happened in the US market, why cannot we do it very in short time in our country? So that's very important. So Pakistan, luckily, was the first country to adopt the Sustainable Development Goals in 2014. So this is happening. We have prioritized all three goals which are actually helping the country growth. There is a program running which is a skill development program. As I said, there is a huge number of people, 60% population is to be participating in the country economy. So there is a skill program which is funded by ILO, European Union, many other funding agencies, and there are training programs going on. And fortunately, I will show you later that we have contributed in that also, that the workers should be safe workers, not only skilled workers, they should be safe workers. So we have done something. Okay. So all the 7 pillars of this Pakistan 2025 vision are aligned with the Sustainable Development Goals, and we will try to achieve in the coming years. So UNDP, they will be monitoring, because there is a lot of funding also involved, so they will be monitoring our program. Definitely we hope that with the commitment of the country's top leadership, this program will be helping for the sustainable growth of the country. If we look at the accidents or injuries data, unfortunately in Pakistan, the legislation is very poor, the data is not available. The only data available is when somebody anybody reports to the hospital, so that is the only data. People who do not report to the hospital and nobody knows, so that data is not available actually. So statistics are lacking in the country, unfortunately. Different legislation is for different areas, I will highlight later. So they are working in isolation, in different compartments, so there is no consolidation. So that is very important, that where we are working. So almost 4% of our people are getting injured, or there are deaths of the people also. So the data is same. Worldwide also is the 4% of the total, and in Pakistan also, but unfortunately the data is not reliable, because there are very few injuries and deaths are reported, and so the centralized, like in OSHA has complete record, but in our country, unfortunately, the record is not available. Whatever was available in the statistics department of the government, we have highlighted, and this tells that 4% are being killed. Okay, if you look, and the second source is newspapers. Look, the first source is the hospitals, where people report after injury or deaths, and second is newspapers. So the newspapers, when they highlight there is an accident, that comes to record. And I have seen the reports of ILO and European Union and Government of Pakistan, so they highlighted the importance of data collection and use. So they said we don't have data. So unfortunately, the reports are through the newspapers. There were many accidents that do happen because of unsafe things and unsafe structures, the building collapse, the fires, the mine accidents. The people are getting killed in mines because they are not aware. The contractors are not paying attention. They are not giving them the right equipment, or there is no rescue. I was traveling, the day I was traveling, there was a news that 4 people killed when they entered a well. There was a water well, and the motor was not running. So one person went there inside to fix the motor. He got fainted. The other one went, third, and the fourth one. And there was no rescue system available, so all 4 died. Very unfortunate. So this kind of things are happening, and who cares? And let me tell you one thing, that this is a perception of our people, especially the Muslim community. They think that this is an act of God. We don't care. Somebody's died, no worries. So they will not go to the court. They will not highlight this issue to the government. They will accept it as an act of God, and they stay back. No claims, unfortunately. So same happened here, that 4 people were killed, and nobody is responsible. Because the owner of the well, he will simply say that I paid them this money and they went there, they killed themselves by themselves. I have no responsibility. So, and there is no law actually. So if there is no law, nobody is accountable actually. So these things are happening in the country. Huge accidents also. There was a fire, big fire, where 258 people were burnt alive in a building because there was no rescue, exits available. So all of them were actually, and the door was locked, because the owner of the building was thinking that they will steal away the garment. So he locked the door, and 258 people were inside the building, and they burnt alive almost. They could not. In Bangladesh also, there was a building collapse. In the other accident, there were 18 people killed. There was a building collapse. There was an explosion, the mining accident. So many accidents happening, but unfortunately, the It comes to the government knowledge when there is a news in the newspapers, unfortunately. And why this is important to report? Somebody should investigate, and they should come up with the suggestion that what needs to be done next. Nobody is doing, unfortunately. Things are happening and nobody cares. So that's why I will highlight that why we are doing it, why we have taken responsibility of this. Okay, legislation in Pakistan, mostly the legislation is in isolation. There is a Factories Act which only covers the factories. And factories means big factories, like in 1,000 workers, 200 workers. Small factories are not covered. Informal sector is entirely not covered. The construction sector has no legislation in safety. Mining sector is covered, but the mining, you can see the Mining Act was 1923 Act. I will show you later. Legislation, as per the Constitution, yes, it was highlighted in 1973 that there should be some legislation in the country. And whatever legislation is available was made by the English rulers. Actually, it was English law that was implemented in Pakistan and still is prevailing. No legislation happened thereafter in last 70 years. So whenever we highlight this issue from our platform, from our chapter, we say that we are doing what in last 70 years was never happening. So we are the initiator using this platform. Okay, so the national policy was actually developed in 2010, which highlighted the importance of construction legislation in safety. But still there is no legislation because it was highlighted and then the government changed and the ownership changed. There was a legislation different. There was amendment in the legislation which highlighted that it should be by the provinces, not the federal government. So if federal government is not owning the provinces, they don't have the resources, they don't have the people. They said, okay, don't worry about. Okay, it was highlighted in the labor policy that there should be a health and safety council also, but it is in papers, not happening in real. But ILO has a role. ILO is definitely playing the role, and they have set up a tripartite council where the legislation is under discussion. There are many things happening, but not on the in the concrete form, only paperwork and verbal. But there is one province where things have started materializing. Okay, let's see at the legislation. Mines Act 1923. You can imagine, Mines Act 1923 was how many years? So, understand. And at that time, the penalty or the imprisonment was very, very small. The person would be charged like 1,500 rupees. 1,500 rupees, that time was big money, but after this many years, it has no value. So the legislation did not change. So who cares? If somebody is killed, all they have to do is to pay 1,500 rupees for his life. That actually is not helping. So, but then for the highways, national highways, National Highway Safety Ordinance was developed in 2000, which was good. Explosive Act, you can see, 1884. Petroleum Act, 1934. Hazardous Substance Rules, 2003. These are recent. Electricity Act, 1910. Nuclear Ordinance, okay. Oil and gas safety regulations, because I belong to oil and gas industry, so I have been highlighting this issue for last 10 years that these regulations are these regulations are under Mines Act, and regulations were developed in 1974. Too old and not comprehensive. Technology has been changed, many things have been changed, but the legislation is still there, is referred, and it doesn't work, unfortunately. And the penalties and fines are so less that the implementation office, they say, why should we issue some citation or do something, because the fines are very, very small, so they are not motivated, unfortunately. So this is the kind of legislation which is in Pakistan and mostly in isolation. No connection with them, each other. They do not interact with them. They do not share data with them. And at the federal level, there is no agency which is actually doing something to consolidate. Okay. So legislative framework was assigned to the provinces in recent constitutional amendment, where the provinces have to make their own legislation. So Sindh province, one of the provinces which is there is more industry in Sindh province, and they actually highlighted and they have enacted the law. And fortunately, Akhtar Qudus Sahib is sitting. He has a role in this legislation, and in this legislation there is a safety council also, which will be announced soon, and he'll be, or rather there will be three people from ASSP Pakistan chapter, 5 people from Pakistan chapter who will be sitting in that safety council. This is a kind of achievement, but this is happening in Sindh. Punjab province, which is a bigger province but with less industry, there is work going on. The law has been defined, and we have the input. They sent us, and the Pakistan chapter actually gave their input, and hopefully it will be enacted. And they agreed that they will assign 3 people in their safety council. So that will be another good step that we have contributing. And other 2 provinces are working with the ILO for the legislation. Supreme Court also, in Pakistan Supreme Court also highlighted there were many accidents happening, so they called the companies, they called the government of Pakistan, and they asked to make new legislation, consolidated legislation to prevent those accidents. So it's also going on, and we are in contact with the government and ministries in that. Pakistan also ratified ILO conventions, because there were many things discussed and agreed in ILO, and ILO is playing very active role in Pakistan in legislation for last many years. I think since 1970 they have been, so last 50 years they're working. And another thing, that Pakistan has been given GSP+. This is actually a status where companies can, the countries can export to the advanced world. So export of garments and other products to the European Union as well as to the US market. So they have been given this status, but there is another commitment which is related to OHS. So the buyers forum is asking the country and the exporters to prove that their workers are safe. They have a training program, they have the safety management system in place, they have to report everything. So this is happening. So, and we are also contributing in this process, that how to help them, how to educate them, how to develop their systems. So this is happening also, that for GSP plus status, there is a requirement of OHS compliance. Okay, now we talk about the ASSP Pakistan chapter, what we are doing. I highlighted the weaknesses of the system and what's happening. Now I will talk about the role of ASSP Pakistan chapter. Pakistan chapter is not very old. We are like 3 years old in Pakistan. Unfortunately, in this short time, we are able to reach to the highest level of the country. We have held meeting with the Prime Minister. We approached the President of Pakistan to attend our professional development conference. We went to the defense headquarters also to highlight the importance of legislation, because it's not only applicable on civil population, it is equally applicable to the military installations and people. Sorry. So, and we have contributed for the draft legislation. We worked very hard to develop draft legislation in the country, which is consolidated, covering whole industry. And for that, we consulted the US legislation, UK legislation, Australian legislation, Chinese, Indian. So whatever was available, we reviewed, and we actually, when I was telling that think globally and act locally. So we looked at the legislation in the world, and then we drafted a local legislation which is user-friendly and acceptable to the local market, and because every society has different culture. So unless we look at the culture of the society, we cannot implement everything right away. So whatever is applicable in US market is not applicable in Pakistan. So anyway, that's our contribution, that we drafted a law. We met the Prime Minister. Prime Minister assigned us to the Ministry of Planning, because Ministry of Planning is the highest level with who plan for the next 5 years. So the planning of Pakistan 2025 was actually their product. So we met them, we had a number of meetings with them, and we drafted a law. And then finally, we went to the Ministry of HRD, Human Resource Development Ministry, and we submitted the draft act, that this is the consolidated act which can be taken as a model and can be implemented wherever it is required. So that is on their table. We rolled on their table, and it's now their acceptance that how they utilize it. We are holding the safety profession development conferences also. There were 2 conferences held, one in Islamabad, one in Karachi, and those were the forums where we highlighted or sensitized the importance of legislation and skill development, training programs, whatever. So very successfully we could highlight the issues to the industry, to the government departments, to the legislators. So there were many, even academia, they were also there, universities were invited. There were papers like, it was same model which applied here. So this is 3 days, event. We held 2 days, 2-day events. So that's happening. So we have a contribution, and it never happened in the country. The legislation, this is the first time after 70 years. The profession development conferences, first time in the country. And there was no other platform which was highlighting rather. So this is our first effort, which is its own kind and being accepted and appreciated also. We are engaged with the universities because without education, it's very difficult to implement anything. I look at the developed countries, for example, US example, that even the basic education is given in primary schooling at the highest, at the basic level. The students or kids are taught about the basic requirements of the safety, and then college level, and then university level, and then they enter the career level. Unfortunately, in our country, this subject is not discussed at any level. Even the engineering graduates, they are coming to the industry without having no knowledge about health and safety, unfortunately. So this is what we are highlighting to the universities, that they have to introduce courses, and they have to initiate some program. There is no graduate course running in the country in this area, unfortunately. So there is a voice heard, and the people accepted, but still there is a red tapeism, and it is taking time. But with the passage of time, if we are consistent, hopefully these courses will be introduced in universities, and definitely they will contribute for safe execution of the projects and work. Safety certifications, definitely the BCSP certifications are very good to have. So I'm the first CSP in Pakistan, and I'm promoting CSP also, the ambassador also. I'm the ambassador for BCSP also. So and our society is promoting the certifications and even the programs which are highlighted by ASSP. So we are trying to introduce in the local market, but it will come, the results will come with passage of time. Student sections, we are working on student sections, because unless the students are involved in this activity, they will not be good safe workers or safe managers when they come to the industry. So they are taking interest, and definitely they will be the new leaders for the society and future leaders for the society. So we are in working with the students also. The WISE, this is another initiative in the country. We have like 50% population, women population in the country. Very few are working in the industry, very few are working in the offices, but still they have a role. So we have highlighted this issue that WISE also, or now WISP, I think, name has been changed. So, WISP. So the women should be involved and engaged, and because they have to contribute within their families, because we have a family system where mother has a role. So mother can teach the kids and take care of the husband and the family. So she can very easily communicate the message to the family. So that's why we are highlighting the importance of WISE, and it is also accepted, and people are understanding that this is a very important area, needs to be highlighted. We held 2 seminars and well attended, and the government people came. They highlighted ILO, GIZ, German NGOs. Many people came, and they appreciated that this is a good initiative which should be going on. We had a meeting with the National Disaster Management Authority, which is at the highest level, working with the Prime Minister, because there were 2 disasters. One was the earthquake when this was developed. Then there was a flood, countrywide flood, where it was the importance of disaster management was there. But what we highlighted that it's not only the natural disaster. If we talk of man-made disaster, industrial disaster, they don't have anything. So they appreciated that, yes, we can contribute. So whenever there's a need of industrial input, they will invite us. So that was the purpose of meeting them. Then we met the Skill Development Authority, that is the national level, and it is with the Prime Minister. And we highlighted that because they have to train like 100,000 workers every year. So 100,000 workers should be safe workers. When we looked at the course modules were not covering the health and safety. So they were only addressing their skill development. So they accepted our submission that yes, they should be safe workers. So we developed a course module for them, a handbook, safety handbook, and we are working with them to introduce these courses in their curricula. So hopefully they will be working. And then we met the Ministry of Commerce, which is for the export industry, because as I said, that the export industry has to comply with the OHS compliance. So unless they comply with the OHS, the buyers forum will not buy from them. So this was highlighted, and we are working. Fortunately, there is another law which is recently enacted, which is building and fire safety codes. So that is under implementation stage, and that happened because of a big fire where 258 people were killed in the building. So now this code is in place, but still we have time to implement in the country. We are in contact with the ILO also, because ASSP has MOU with the ILO. So we are in contact with them, and we are contributing, and we have given them proposal that how can we improve the mining sector, how can we improve the manufacturing sector, the textile sector. So there are many industries where people are being killed, and there is less legislation or ineffective legislation, less training. So these proposals were submitted to the ILO, and we are expecting that they will come up with the... we are working with the World Bank also. So there is a training program which will be initiated by IFC, International Finance Corporation. So that is also a part of World Bank. So they have engaged us, and we will be holding trainings and developing training modules for the industry. So it will be a contribution from our chapter. We met the chairman WAPDA. WAPDA is the Water and Power Development Authority, which is the highest level forum for the dams and power generation and distribution. So, and there are like 50,000 workers working. There is not a single person who is responsible for safety in the system, unfortunately. But so they understood that this area is very important. They are working in environmental area because the funding organization, the World Bank is asking for environment, so they say, okay, environment compliance is there, but there is no health and safety compliance. So they understood, and we are working with we proposed them that how can we help them to develop their department, how can we have started holding training programs for them, their management training programs are, so we give them lectures and training. So that's happening, but we are expecting more to come. The Employers Federation of Pakistan is another forum which is very important. This is the only forum in Pakistan which is linked with the industry. They are working with the ILO also. So after having the MOU with them, we are in contact with both of them, and they have asked us to develop training modules and hold the trainings. So this will be a help for at the national level. Other MOUs with different NGOs and departments to highlight the importance and to support the industry in training programs and compliance of OHS. And there are MOUs signed with the different universities. We have agreed that we can develop course modules, diploma programs, and graduate programs. But all matters when we have enough resources, enough people to give them, and there is acceptance from the government also. There is a Higher Education Commission. Once they accept this program, then it will be. So we are working in different areas and trying to contribute for the sustainable development of the country. Okay. As I said that in Sindh provinces, Sindh province there are 3 seats or 5 seats. The 5 seat have been highlighted, in Punjab also. So these safety councils will be working in provinces, and we will be contributing. Let me highlight the draft which we have submitted for the consolidated legislation. There are 2 important areas which we have highlighted. Is the policy, which has to be a national policy for OHS. And there are 2 things which are highlighted, that there should be a national safety council, because provinces cannot work in isolation, country is one. So there should be a national safety council which can assist the provinces and support the provinces with the resources, because the funding agencies will not go to the provinces, they will be linked with the federal government. So that is, and there another thing which is center of excellence. So this is also a good suggestion, that center of excellence has to be developed, because in US or in developed countries there are many things happening in different setups, but in developing countries like Pakistan there is nothing. So this is very important area which we have highlighted, that all the funding and all the efforts should be under one roof, and all the directions or even data collection and investigation, whatever is going on, has to be carried out by the Center of Excellence, and the training programs and the education programs. So it is a proposal, but we will keep on pushing the government people and the government authorities, because this is the way we can achieve the sustainable development. Otherwise, if we do not act upon, it will not work. The plans will not be implemented. Okay, some pictures. I don't have the pointer. The first picture is with the Prime Minister. The second top picture is with the Disaster Management Authority, which is Army General is heading, Acting General. The ILO, we have a meeting with the ILO. The left, the bottom is the meeting with the Skill Development Department head. These are the pictures of 2 profession development conferences, which these are only the top people, otherwise they were well attended. In the first one, Islamabad session, there were like 300 people. In Karachi also more than 300 people for 2 days. So big sessions and big participation and acceptance, and we are proud that we are adding value to the country with our efforts, alhamdulillah. And I must highlight that I'm the first one which initiated ASSE in Pakistan. I've been attending ASSE conference since 2006, And it was my request to Jitu Bhai. He left years back when I asked him that we need to set up a different independent setup in Pakistan. So we worked together and he accepted. There was a board meeting where I had to present my case that how can we develop it and what's the purpose, how it will be sustainable. Because the question was that is it sustainable, or when you go back nobody will and the chapter will be closed. So we are fortunate that we have a good team and team is growing and it will be sustainable and the chapter will work. So I was the first one, and fortunately the seed was planted by me and now it's becoming a tree. So hopefully it will bear fruits as well. Okay, legislative work, meetings with the Ministry of Planning, where Secretary Planning is sitting with us, and the bottom one is the Secretary HRD, Human Resource Development. So these are very key positions in the country. So we were able to reach them. Akhtar Sahib and myself sitting in these meetings. So you can see that the level of contribution we are able to do, and the acceptance by the government also. Then the army headquarters, the flags are raised, and the defense production, there is a big factory, defense production, where we held the session. So we are now entered in different corridors, government corridors, and people are accepting us, fortunately. The WISE events, there were 2 WISE events happened, and many ladies attended, and the message was heard by the government, and they know what we are doing and what's the importance of women in sustainable development of the country, because everything relates to the sustainable development of the country. This is for the student section event. Students were very, very enthusiastic, and they participated in the program, the lectures, the seminars. And you know, if they become safe, their whole families will become safe. They will be future managers. The engineering university students, they are going to become the future managers. So they have to be working in the industry. So this is also part of sustainable development. These were the proposals and acts which I have already highlighted. A safety handbook was developed for the skill development, the draft OHS legislation, the OHS policy, some proposal to improve the industry practices. So these all are very, very important things which we have to work day and night to develop these documents. And without any funding, without any support, we are paying from our own pockets without any sponsorship from anybody. So this is unique. I mean, in advanced world, you get funding from some organization to do a job. We are working from our own pockets. We are sacrificing our own time, family time, to produce the documents, and these documents are now on the tables of the government departments, and we are waiting for something to happen. And we'll keep on pushing those departments that they should do something. Because, frankly speaking, if the government will ask for these documents, these all documents, they will cost millions of dollars to them. Because these experts will come from outside the world, from outside world, and they will charge big money for these documents. So we have given them for free. So they should be thankful, and they are thankful, but implementation, will take time. And we are planning to meet the new Prime Minister now, very few soon. When we go back, we'll get appointment from him, and hopefully if he meets, he has energy and he understands, so hopefully we will be able to move further. Oil and gas companies, they have a role definitely in the country, because oil and gas sector, actually, they contributed and they brought good knowledge from outside world. I started my career with Occidental. Occidental was an American company. The other company was Union Texas. They were working. There were many U.S. companies and British Petroleum also. They work in Pakistan. So they brought their corporate standards. They brought their own culture. So that actually propagated within the country. And now oil companies are considered as role models for other industry. So always they are referred that oil industry can do it, you can do it. So very fortunately, oil industry has contributed, and in my early days, 30 years back, only Americans or Britishers used to be the HSE managers or operational managers. But now all the companies, they have their local employees and indigenous resources, local managers. So though the expatriates are only few to run the company, except other staff is as a local, because they have been developed for last 30 years. So they are now capable and competent to run. So the HSE culture was brought by the oil companies in the countries. They started in early 80s. The multinationals entered Pakistan in early 80s. And if I talk about the background of the oil industry, it's a long time. I think the first well was explored in 1904. So you can imagine that 1904 onwards, the oil industry is growing in Pakistan. So there were multinationals actually who started working, and then national companies also learned. So they have a role to develop the HSE culture. I will definitely highlight my company, my employer. My employer is KOFPEC Pakistan, which is Kuwait Foreign Petroleum Exploration Company. They are actually Kuwait Petroleum Company, but they are working outside the Kuwait. So they are investing money, and Pakistan is one of the operations where they are working for like 30 years. And I'm working, and I'm responsible for health, safety, environment, CSR, community. These are all linked. So and we are contributing definitely, and we have a role in the industry. We are working in partnership with 5 other companies also. So if we look at the overall picture, we are the major. We have a major role in the country. And definitely that is being accepted. And for myself, I'm highlighting the OHS at the Society of Petroleum Engineers seminars as well, which is the highest forum in the oil industry. So they are also inviting us, and I'm able to highlight importance. Every year they invite, and I'm there to represent and highlight the importance of HSE. With that, I think I've already highlighted that I'm the founding member and attending since 2006. Okay, I was a speaker in 2016 last time. Speaker at SPE. Okay, and recently I've been appointed as ambassador by the VCSP. So, due to my continuous efforts, because since I got the CSP, I was helping people to prepare and to motivate them to come and prepare, because it's difficult exam, so people do not have confidence to attempt this. So motivation is very important to bring people to at least start preparing. So that's it. If you have any question.
Thank you so much, first of all, for this wonderful presentation. And hats off to you for your excellent efforts and your ASS Pakistan chapter, which I think it's very easy to work in developed countries because all the systems are in place.
They support you.
They support you.
Yeah.
You cannot go with the flow. If you want to show your patriotism, like you are talking about all your efforts, you have met ministries, prime minister, different industry sectors, military forces, and defense production facilities. Very remarkable efforts, and for sure, one day somebody will recognize and be thankful to all of you when you are taking the global perspective and putting that into your system, which could be revisited and then implemented?
Well, we are very confident that things will happen. Actually, safety goes with the economic growth. If there is economic growth, people or industry has enough funds to spend on safety. If they don't have enough profits, they will not spend on safety. So we are very hopeful that the planning ministry has developed the 2025 plan, and they are looking towards the growth of the industrial growth of the country. And China has invested in developing the country, and they have assured that they will develop the industry. The shortfall was there was no power in the country. The electric power was not there enough to feed the industry. That's why industry was not developing. So they have focused on power generation. There is a lot of work going on for the power generation. When power is enough, the industry will start growing. Because cheap energy is important for the industrial growth. If the energy is expensive, they will not invest. So there is a hope that with the infrastructure, with the power development and enough power and cheap power available, industry will grow. And there is a plan that they want to place Pakistan among top 25 nations. So top 25 nations means the economy should grow like twofold or threefolds. So that will happen. And there is another thing which is happening is GSP Plus. GSP Plus is asking for the OHS implementation for export. And we are looking at the export market because country cannot run without export. We have to export something to get the foreign exchange to run the economy. So that is also happening. So that will also support us. So we hope that with the passage of time, things will move. And they will ask us to help them. At the moment, we are actually trying to convince them that this is required. And that inshallah, the time will come, then they will ask us that, yes, yes.
All right. Thank you very much for the presentation. Well, I have a question, the recent progress, China is making its way to Pakistan. And China, Pakistan is not part of the Muslim law, Chinese country, Pakistan. And then from the legislation perspective, like you're focusing on Pakistan. How would you care because there would be a lot of work on the courts, you would have a lot of people from China. So how would you bridge that gap that they should also come from the same level?
Well, it's very early to say that how we will bridge the gap, but we have started with the legislation. That is the basic thing. We have to document the legislation, consolidated legislation. So there is a control through legislation. Then second phase will be the capacity building of the implementation departments. Because unless they are authorized and they are supported by the government and they have the authorities, they will not be able to implement. And third level will be awareness and training programs. So training program is also, we are also focusing on that. We are attached with the academia also. We are highlighting the importance of this subject in the universities and colleges so that the graduates should have the basic idea of this subject. And maybe after down the line, maybe after 5 years, they should initiate the graduation classes also. Because with the industrial growth, there will be a lot of requirements. For the compliance, every industry has to have, they must have trained HSE teams with them. So I was in a conference when the presenter said that you cannot grow safety officers on trees. You have to develop them. If you are growing, you are a growing economy, you are a developing economy, you have to start developing the HSE people, trained people, and competent people to implement the system. So there are many things which we have to highlight, but we hope that with our efforts and with the vacuum which is going to happen in future, down the line, maybe 10 years, there will be a vacuum. For that vacuum, we have to start working now so that we can bridge the gap that time. Yeah.
The second last question. One thing I love in your presentation that you are trying to contact universities and different schools and colleges. Again, at the same point, getting safe quite a subjects into the education and the services across the country. How much relation do you see that
Long way to go. No commitment. And this question was raised by the Prime Minister also, that what do you think, that how can this be implemented?
Have you achieved anywhere in any university?
Just a start. I mean, we are able to deliver the workshops and seminars, but the classes not just start, because they said you have to give us a volunteer working with them in full time. But unfortunately, we don't have that volunteer. We are in the jobs. So how can we volunteer our time to support them, sir? Yes.
I can understand the time required.
Huh.
But are there any private universities which need not be fully using the government course or using supplemental courses?
We have made the MOU with the
Succeed in certain chapters,
yes.
which is a faster one compared to getting into the government course modification.
Same is our approach. We have made a MOU with a private university, and they have accepted it. We had meeting with the vice chancellor. They said, yes, hopefully we will get.
Just 2 points. So this one related to the question by the answer and one related to universities. When we say that we are focusing on legislation and that may probably exclude the Chinese workers from that. I think the legislation is the law of the land. It's not law for Pakistan. It's law for land. So anybody who works in Pakistan, whether it's Chinese or American or British, he has to follow. Like if you're working in the US, it doesn't matter if you are British or Pakistani, you're following US law. So all of the people who are working, irrespective of their origin or nationality, they have to follow the law, number one. Number two, regarding the universities, yes, you are very right. The private universities, we find them more, they have a more acceptable attitude towards these programs. But again, they have to get formal approval from the
Higher Education Commission?
Commission.
Yeah.
They have to do that.
Supplemental courses, like I know they have, but
Yeah, we have proposed like certification
But
courses.
that's one obstruction, getting an approval from HC. But the other is the government universities or the public sector universities, they will don't find that kind of acceptance also. That's also,
That's what
the
I'm saying.
first barrier is crossed here.
right.
Okay? So then there's the second barrier, of
Right,
course,
right.
that's the second part.
Another point which I would like to highlight, that in universities, how many students will register this course? Because every student looks at the job, that whether when I graduate, whether I'll get a job or not. So this is very important. So at the moment we are trying to implement the certification program, which is 1 week, and the diploma program, which is 6 months. That will be the first step. Graduation program might take maybe 5 years. So when there is a vacuum, then people will start coming and they will register in this course. I think.
We are working with the SSP, we are working on independent criteria. So is it possible all the courses which are talking about 1 month, 6 months, like DCSP have this, to go and support them, because we are here, and then we're having here two more, and like DCSP, IO, yeah, so we can get support that are approved from them, yeah, that will add more value.
Yes, we are working on this line also. Yes. Yes, I mean, the diploma will be like equivalent to that, what we are planning. Because once diploma is a standard diploma, it will be accepted by AIOSH, it will be accepted by any other organization. Because they have to look at the contents, the competence of the trainers and faculty. So if we are able to bring good people for training and we have a good program, everybody will accept that, right? We want to hear from you, what you learned from us and what's your comment in what you're talking, because we were focusing on US people market and people from US. Yes, ma'am.
So first, thank you for the presentation. Very, very informative.
Thank you.
A lot.
Yep.
I recently had the pleasure of going to Pakistan to Lahore.
Great, great.
And conducting a construction safety workshop with about 30 great professionals.
Ah,
Really excited to see what's going on with the ASSP, and I definitely look forward to going back to you.
that's it.
We have a country, I'm with Unilever.
Unilever, okay, great.
We have a country safety, health, and environmental manager. I'd love to see you get involved with
Yes,
the ASSP.
he has to be working with us. Yeah.
So I've already started sending them some information. I
That's great. Very nice to hear from you. So the workshop was held by the Unilever or? Okay.
Unilever, for Unilever, we're doing a lot of construction in Lahore, Rahim Yarkhan,
Understand.
Karachi.
I thought it will be with the ILO or the government. No, it was separately for the Unilever
Really,
people.
we've got some good individuals that really need to be involved. We've got some stuff, some worries we can share. Plus, we're always looking for
That's great. That's great.
The two PDCs, Unilever has not been part of it.
No, and I'm so disappointed we weren't part of it.
That's a surprise. You just mentioned it, and I thought, yeah, because we were involved in PDCs, and I didn't see Unilever being part of it. Again,
Just from 2012, I think the concept of creating chapters
Yeah.
in I took that to India, and India chapter was also one chapter. So, one thing, I could comment on, ma'am, your point. We started doing corporate programs by joining hands with KSSP chapter in India. For example, I used to work for Praxair International, so we made many programs, for example, driver's training program in Praxair, but in collaboration with KSSP, and those really work well. So probably a good idea.
Nice. Very good. Ma'am, anything? Like to hear from you also.
Well, I'm just trying to learn more about the international countries and what they're doing. It was very good information. I work for some global Fortune 500 companies, GE, Siemens.
Great,
Just
great.
recently went just on my own right now with medical, but it's just good to see what other country challenges are. I have a personal connection with the country, so I just passionate about. I'm always following Pakistan on the website and the chapter and what's happening, what's going on.
Siemens is in Pakistan. Siemens is working in Pakistan and building construction plants.
So yes, why not? I'm so impressed with the two ladies. They are not simply observers. They have a background, and they yes. We hope that.
I just have one question. Where's ISO 45001? Is there talk about that in the country? Adoption of it?
Yes, sure. It's now people are switching over to us because it's a mandatory requirement. Whoever is working on 18,001 in 3 years they have to shift to 45,001. So many companies are, and my company also. We are in the transition. Hopefully, in a few months' time, we'll be switching over to 45,001. And there are many training programs in progress in the country to develop the awareness in this area. That's it. Thank you very much. If no question, then yeah, group photo, please, because there are few, so we can make a group photo. Thank you.